What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is one of the last days of Eurotripper prep for the 700. So I've been working on the ignition. Got a brand new carburetor put in it. Luckily, that solved a lot of the carburetor issues I was having with the Solex that I took out. I did mention that the Solex will go back in the car. I want the Volkswagen German parts to end up back in the car. I did buy a rebuild, like a brand new rebuild, like Chinese carburetor that was just super cheap. It was like $120 from CIP1, and it was jetted, ready to go. I put it in, solved all the carburetor issues. So for now, that'll at least get me driving the car while I take the time, hopefully soon, to rebuild the Solex to get back in here. So this episode is aesthetically going over the 700. I'm going to put some more new finish to the paint. Back maybe 2 years ago on the channel, I did that for the first time, and it brought the paint back immensely for what paint there is left. There's no clear on this paint, so whenever the sun baked it for the 40 years it sat in the woods, it just killed the paint. So I haven't done it in a while, since it's seen a lot of sun since the last time I did it. You can see how chalky the paint is here. You can almost rub it off with your finger. So going around the car with what's left of the paint, I use New Finish, which has no abrasives in it. It doesn't leave any swirls. It's just enough to get that dead layer of paint off, and it really transforms the car. But what I'm also going to do is I've just hooked onto Mason's trailer out here in the yard, and I'm going to actually load it up and take it for a drive and just make sure everything is looking good with the truck and the trailer. We're supposed to get heavy rain in the next couple of days, so I'm doing this now so I don't have to do this when we're getting ready to leave. So Mason's trailer sits far different than mine does with this new F-250 I have. My dually had one of those chrome toe bumpers, so the reese hitch was significantly lower in the back than this truck. So when I was towing Mason's trailer with my hitch, the front axle wasn't even touching the ground. Tires were up in the air, not even moving. So I'm sure with a load on it, it'll help push that down a little bit, help get the suspension to articulate a little bit more. But what I did was I took my trailer hitch ball and flipped it over, because on my dually, I had that 3-inch drop hitch flipped over for a 3-inch rise. So my enclosed trailer didn't ride nose heavy. So what I did was I switched my ball around, got it to now drop 3 inches. The trailer seems like it's riding much better. I'm gonna back it up a little bit more and load the 700, strap her down, and maybe just go fuel up the truck and just go for a drive. Make sure that all fours are running. That way the rear tires aren't getting all the weight load. And wheel bearing life, brake life, all of that is getting spread amongst all 4 tires. All right. I broke the outer door handle on this side, and I haven't replaced the tiny little springs, I think there's 3 of them, that push against the mechanism that releases the outer handle that then you pull to release the lock. And the last few times I've forgotten about it, and when I push that piece, it just falls right out of the door, and it takes forever to put it back together, so at least it stays there. So I haven't done that yet. That's another thing on the list. My father and I actually had 2 pairs. I had 2 pairs of these because I bought 2 700s when I got this one. The other one was basically rotted in half, and neither of them had a good pair of handles. Each one had like certain parts that the other ones didn't, so we basically put all the parts together to make 2 good ones, and now this one has fallen apart. So going to do my best to put that one back together, hopefully by just measuring and figuring out what size those little 3 springs I need. All right, well, she's loaded up. Normally I pull it on forward, even though the motor's in the back. The Corvair and the 700 are both rear-engined cars. I still pull them on forward, but I pull them forward enough to know for sure that I've got enough tongue weight. Because obviously, as most of you guys know, tongue weight is so important when you're towing a car trailer. You don't want your weight off the back of the rear axle, off the back of the trailer. You'll skate and you could potentially, crash your vehicle. So this is the first time I've actually ever put the 700 on backwards. But since this is such a light trailer and the car is so light, I figured I'd back it on first and drive around town and just see how it rides. Also, guys, this might just be me being OCD because my father owned a towing company for years and years. But remember to tidy up your excess straps. And I'm talking to my friends who still shut the excess strapping in the trunk of their car. Unacceptable. Get some of these guys, fold them up, and just tie them up. Yeah, pretty stoked I was able to get the Corvair nestled into this back corner and still be able to work around it, especially down here in the laser side of the shop, and get the Sentry in as well. Unfortunately, there's not enough room to get the car back far enough to get the Corvair out without moving the Sentry. But that still allows me some space behind the Sentry, and it would still allow room for a 2-post lift in here. So that's kind of what I've always kept my eye on, is if I put a 2-post lift in this bay, if I'd still have enough room for a car, 2 full-size cars, basically. Now, as the shop grows and this end of the shop continues to get hoed out and set up, I'll get a parts washer in here, probably a blast cabinet that might go on this wall. It'll fill up fast. I'd love to get a tire machine. That would probably have to fit in the corner or in that wall as well. There's enough space in here to work. I mean, there could be some implements right down here dividing the bays as well. It's all coming together. All right, so cleaned all the windows up, got some new stickers on it, thanks to my friend Phil Can. Still getting him to cut my vinyls for me. Got a couple of new Ludwig's Garage chrome vinyls on the front and back. Vacuumed the interior out, which is hilarious because it's all just metal. No real interior yet. But kind of cleaning everything up since it needed it. Get a lot of dirt and dust inside this car when you drive it. But I just got the call from my friend Matt, who's a local BMXer and car enthusiast here in Chattanooga. He is who I've started riding with down at the skate park a lot. I rode BMX professionally for about 8 years and then took about 10 years off. And a couple years ago when I first got back on my bike, I learned a couple new tricks, which was crazy for an old dog. And I pulled one a couple nights ago and we didn't get a chance to film it. And so basically the reason why I'm going to run down to the skate park now, with lots to do yet, I'm going to bring you guys along to session with Matt. There's a new grind box down at the skate park that's really good. Chattanooga skate park is kind of like a prefab park. It's not really that awesome for an awesome city like Chattanooga. It deserves a much better skate park. All right, out here at the Chattanooga skate park with Matt, and we're going to put a session down on this grind box. This is basically all we've been riding every time we come down here. So I'm going to try to warm up, get these old 37-year-old hands loosened up, and get some moves done. Yo.
You got it, dude. Solid ice.
I'm seriously ice picking this as slow as I can now. Oh my! It's so close I can literally taste it. Oh, every time I pump. Oh. I need to just,
I knew that was gonna happen.
Thank God that's over.
Wait. That was it.
All right, guys, session is over. Just had dinner. Matt and I had a pretty good session at the skate park. The ice pick grind, the slow ice pick grind, the bar spin, was the trick that was really giving me some anxiety when I got down there. That was the one trick I really wanted to film tonight. I did get marked on it pretty hard. The one where I fell, I slapped my right elbow on the concrete pretty hard. You can't really tell in the clip, but definitely going to have some swelbo in the morning. But worked pretty hard for it. Stoked to get it. Always a fun session with Matt. Okay, so super important. Before I left for the skate park, I had a package come in today, and it's quite special, very special. And if you guys have been on the channel back a few episodes ago when I was doing some ignition work on the 700, I talked about how we had to modify the fan shroud in this car in order to fit with the hood closed. And I showed you guys a little bit of how we modified, how my father and I modified this fan shroud. I had to build this air filter pretty small, and I've already modified the brace here. I've notched this brace so it won't hit the air filter, but it also won't hit the shroud. And as you can see, we've cut it along here and laid it down to almost bevel the top, and then sealed it and riveted it shut, so I didn't have to cut a hole in the hood. Now, what I was talking about in the previous episode, or the episode with the 700, was the South American air-cooled motors had what they called a Puma shroud. And that was a more square, lower profile, like significantly lower profile shroud. That was the shroud that I was really looking for when my dad and I were building this car, because we wouldn't have had to have done any of this stuff. I may have still had to notch the brace in the hood, but we wouldn't have had to modify the fan shroud. Well, upon watching that episode, my friend Jose from Chicago reached out and said that he had a friend in Arizona who might have one. I never got in touch with the guy personally, but Jose had reached out and said that the guy did have one and gave me a price plus shipping. So what I did was I just gave Jose my address and said, please give me, a price total, what shipping might cost. About 2 weeks later, Jose texted me out of the blue saying, hey, the shroud was shipped and you should see it soon. Consider it a gift from me. Which was very special. I mean, I really appreciate him doing that. He did not have to do that. So huge thanks to Jose. I put his Instagram handle below. So that is what came in today, and I haven't opened it yet. So let's get it open and show you guys what a Puma shroud looks like. All right. This is a Puma shroud. And this is exactly what I was looking for. As you can see, it's flat across the top. No heater ports that come out the sides. But this will be much better looking in the 700 for the compact space that I have in that engine bay, or lack of space, I should say. So this is huge. I didn't know when I would ever get my hands on one. They can be found in the States, but we never had a Volkswagen in North America that was built with a Puma shroud. But that's where I'm going to leave the episode off. Huge thanks to my friend Jose. Selfless act, did not have to do that. Means a lot to me, so that will go to good use. Very excited about that. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. Gonna get loaded up tomorrow, and next episode will be the 10-hour haul to South Florida and Fort Myers for Eurotripper 9. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we bring you guys along to the trip for the 9th installment of Eurotripper.